I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, January the 21st, where a lot of people are just kind of depressed in the cattle market right now, especially those guys up in the Midwest. The weather's been horrible, miserable, cold, wet. Your lots are muddy, and not just in the feed lots, but producers too that got their calves pinned up and getting them weaned and things like that, and they're just trying to get rid of them now, and they can't get them out in a lot of cases. The fat cattle market had a big fail last week with all the poor weather and everything, which normally emboldens your fat cattle market because of loss of tonnage of your weight there, because of all the weight that's sucked off of them, pulling that mud, and then the cold conditions just keeping warm, and feedlots unable to take advantage of that at all. Kansas City Chiefs lost on Sunday. Hosted their first championship game, and were not able to come out with a win. Probably the best chance they've had in 50 years to get back to the Super Bowl, and a lot of your cattle people in that Midwest area, and who else you're going to root for but the Kansas City Chiefs. But just kind of a downer there. Look at the board for last week. February live cattle futures ended the week at 126.52. That was up $1.55 for the week, and was up stronger than that. It just kind of tailed off late in the week. About all that did was cause a bunch of margin calls on your hedged feeders, and didn't help your cash market out at all. Your April live cattle contracts ended the week $1 higher than the previous week at 127.37, and then from April down to June, you got to go a little over $10 to get down to it. But January feeder cattle, 141.45, down 4.67 for the week, down hard. Just as much as the cool weather, the cold weather, and the miserable lot conditions should have, but didn't help your fat cattle market. It just hurt your feeder cattle market. Nobody wants them. A lot of lots can't take them, even though they may want them. They just don't have a place to put them because they just got such horrible lot conditions, and it's just been a downer for your feeder cattle. And then on top of that, your guys that are feeding a lot of cattle, the cattle they've bought over the last several months are so much higher than what they're worth right now, and they can't even cheapen them back up by buying more, and it's just tough. But March feeder cattle contracts down 208 for the week at 142.82. Like I said earlier, your fat cattle market, just a big bust there. By Friday afternoon late, they finally had the bulk of sales, and not sure how much that's going to be, not expecting a huge volume, but enough to establish a market. And live sales were mostly steady at 124, dress sales mostly steady at 197, and that was after we'd seen a sprinkling of trade in the Northern Plains at 125 and 198, but just unable to capture that and get a hold of it and establish that for the market. Box beef cutout values, the average of last week's trade on choice cuts, $212.36, down $1.34 compared to the average of the previous week. And select cuts, the average trade for last week, $207.07, down 13 cents. Choice select spread of $5.29. Good movement though, 677 loads. Slaughter, 620,000, which was 6,000 off of the previous heavy week, but 7,000 more than the same week a year ago. Just a cattle on feed report should come out Friday, but if the government doesn't open up, we won't have a cattle on feed report, which might be kind of nice. Won't have to prepare for that and then wait and have a drum roll and then pull the curtain back and show you what it is, and then just have to wonder how bad it's going to affect the market or how much volatility it's going to cause. Just won't have a cattle on feed report till the government resumes and gets funded again. Your big high volume Monday sales, Joplin Regional Stockyards expecting 4,000 head there, so lightest run they've had so far this year. And Oklahoma National Stockyards expecting 5,000 to 6,000 on Monday. Don't forget on Tuesday, Alma Livestock Auction in Alma, Nebraska up there. You can view and bid their sale on Tuesday on DV Auction. They're expecting a good run this coming Tuesday. Got a lot of large consignments there of really good cattle. That's in south central Nebraska, including the Calk Brothers 3 loads of 8-weight steers there, and I tell you what, they'll be even, they'll be nice and as good as you can find anywhere. So don't forget Alma, Nebraska on Tuesday. Look at your real-time index for the end of last week, 140.38. That was down $3.30 for the week. You look at your cash feeder trends and your sales for the week last week. Your feeder steers $3 to $8 lower because they were a little bit overpriced because of a big push on those right as soon as we came back from the holiday break. So they had the most to fall, but 3 to 8 lower on feeder steers, 2 to 5 lower on feeder heifers, and calves steady to $5 lower, even though we're in full stroke buying for grass calves right now. But you know, just there's not a dry place for cattle to lay down in the bulk of our production areas. But you look at some sales on Friday, way up in Billings, Montana at the public auction yards on Friday, had a feeder special there. You look at this market report on Cattle Market Central, you see on the 5-weight steers there were 559 head of them. They averaged 552 with an weighted average price at 174.51. 450 head of 6-weight steers averaged 647 at 158.03. On the heifer popular weights, on the 5-weight heifers, over 400 head of them averaged 552 pounds at 151.82, and nearly 400 6-weight heifers averaged 636 at 139.95. Go from the north all the way down to the south. Santa Teresa livestock auction right on the border, and all Mexican cattle sold through there for import. 110 head of 445-pound Mexican steer calves, $177. And then go back up to Crawford, Nebraska on Friday. 120 head of 716-pound feeder steers bring $157. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.